Good morning. It's May 26th, right? And the sun shines back, which is nice. Although when it cleared off last night, it may have frosted, so we covered some plants we put out, and I think other people probably did too. In fact, I know they did, because you can see right there. Because it's dipped down to freezing, if not below, last night. It's going to be pretty close to that again tonight. But right now it's 5 degrees, warming up nicely, sun is shining. And here I am, walking once again. I think I'm going to kind of go around the lake, but not walk down by the lake. So, slightly different roads than usual. Although to start with, you still have to get across to the other side. We'll start down the familiar alley. Oh, hello, Theodore. I hope I'm pronouncing your name close to right. So I know YouTube is working, at least for the moment. Hopefully the feed doesn't fail at some point. And I did have sound on Facebook yesterday, which was nice. Yes, good morning. It's 20 to 9 or something like that. A little after 8:30. It's a little slower starting out. I usually get out right after 8, but didn't quite manage that this morning. All the rain and everything is green and lush, and the air is fresh. And only a little chilly. Oh, and there's that Hazelov. Welcome. So what's on my agenda for today when I get back? Still working on my novel, The Tangled Stars. I've also got some work to do. I'm mentoring somebody through the Saskatchewan Writers Guild. That's almost over. Ends at the end of May, and I've got some of her material to look at today. Get back to her, and I'm interviewing somebody else for the podcast. I interviewed Christian Cameron yesterday for the podcast for an upcoming episode. Podcast is The World Shapers, theworldshapers.com, where I interview other science fiction and fantasy authors about their creative process. And Christian Cameron is also a historical novelist. He used to write spy novels. He used to actually be a spy. He was in the US military for a long time, the Navy, and was an actual spy, among other things. And he's a martial artist, and so he was interesting to talk to. Or at least he has some familiarity with a great many martial arts. So his will be up, his will be the next episode. This last weekend, Jane Yolen was my guest. That one went up on Sunday. And they go every 2 weeks, so his will be next. And then I'm interviewing somebody today, and I'm interviewing somebody tomorrow. So that'll take me a good 6 weeks into the future, podcast-wise. Now, the question is, last time I went through the underpass, it was flooded on the other side. I don't really want to go that way anyway, so maybe we'll use the crosswalk today. I have to get across Albert Street here, which is the main north-south drag through Regina. You can drive straight through the city on Albert Street. Albert Street Bridge. The Saskatchewan Legislative Building over there. Fridays are the day I walk around the lake, So I'm not quite doing that today. I'm kind of going around the lake, but I'm not going to go down close to the lake. That's my plan. But you can see it over there, West Lake. We'll take a pass through Speaker's Corner. Speaker's Corner, of course, is most famously in Hyde Park. These lanterns here actually used to be in Hyde Park. So there's a strong connection with the original Speaker's Corner. Some flowering bushes. Trees still have their flowers. Lost a little bit in the rain, but not too much. There's a vehicle on my path. Oh, but it's leaving. Mower, I think. It's a lovely morning. I like the morning walk, the lighting. I like the trees and shadows that the lower sun makes. Although the sun is still getting higher this time of morning. Longest day of the year is still, what, a month away? Almost, not quite. It's very close to a month. That's the Royal Saskatchewan Museum over there, that building. Has a cast of Scotty, world's largest T-Rex, which was found in Saskatchewan. I was fortunate enough, this would have been in the mid-90s, I guess, when they were digging him out. I got to go out to the dig and did some work on a documentary film that was being shot about the discovery. I was the off-camera interviewer of some of the paleontologists. So I'm not in the film, but I worked on it a bit. I think I got an associate producer credit or something like that. I've never really looked to see. In fact, I've never seen the film. But I remember maybe once when it first was on, probably on CBC. It's like a half-hour documentary. It wasn't a huge thing. Anyway, they have a cast of him there. I think his actual remains are out at the T-Rex Discovery Center in East End, which is much closer to where he was found. East End is in the western part of the province. Don't ask me why. I think it's the east end of the Cypress Hills area, maybe? I don't really know why it's called East End. But the fossils were found in the Frenchman River Valley, very deep valley, river valley, and they get lots of fossils out of there because it's cuts down through millions of years of history, strata. You can clearly see the KT layer, the darker layer in the strata that's the remains of the presumed asteroid impact that resulted in the extinction of many dinosaurs. Although, as we know from Jurassic Park, and it seems to be probably true, it didn't really go extinct, but it did wipe out many species. And birds are basically dinosaurs. Seems to be the theory. Okay, we'll go to the right this time. Or do I want to keep going this way? Oh, let's go around front of this again. This is the new credit union building, just recently built here. with some pushback because people thought it was somehow bad for the park, but this was just boring grass. There was nothing interesting here where this stands now. And the construction of this meant money for the renovation of the college building, which is the next one. Well, no, the next one over is Dark Hall, which is currently being renovated. It used to be the main concert hall in the city, and it's now getting a much needed repairs and new seats and all that kind of thing. If you look that way, you can see me. And this is the new shared lobby between Dark Hall and the new credit union building. At some point I'll be able to walk through that, but I doubt I can now. So there, Dark Hall. That's actually Dark Hall there. And you can see it still has construction trailer in front of it because they're still working inside. So the outside has been touched up, repaired. There's still work going on inside. I've performed in there many times. My daughter's performed in there. My wife's performed in there. My wife's mother performed in there. And my wife's grandmother performed in there. It really was the major concert hall, and music festival used to be held there, and Regina Lyric Musical Theater I was active with used to do our shows there. This is College Building, home of the Conservatory of Performing Arts. That, what do they call it? Collegiate Gothic style. So this was the original home of the University of Regina. And still affiliated in a way. It's called the College Building after all. It has a lot more in it than just the Conservatory of Performing Arts, but I'd say the conservatory takes up more of it than anything else. We sponsored a room in there, so my wife and I have our name on a room, and my wife's mother, Dr. Alice Goodfellow, was a great supporter of the arts, and she was a pediatrician. Also has a room in there with her name on it, which is cool. And that many generation connection to Dark Hall, we had a nice feature in the university magazines with a picture of the three of us, and talked about our connection to Dark Hall, especially my wife's family. I mean, I only came up here in the late 80s, and her grandparents were here right after the First World War, and her grandfather was here even before that. That's he worked here briefly before the war, before he went back to Toronto to go to school. But he was here during the tornado in 1912 that destroyed downtown, or a chunk of downtown, and killed 20-some people. Worst tornado disaster in Canadian history. He was here for that, lucky guy. Boris Karloff was here for that too. He had come into town with a traveling theatrical group, which collapsed while he was here. And so he was stranded. And before he got out of Regina, he made some money by helping to clear up the rubble left behind by the tornado. So that's our Boris Karloff connection, of all people. Okay, I'm going to stand on the sidewalk here. Last time I went down by the soundstage, I actually lost my feed at one point, so I'm going to stay a little more out here in the open. This is College Avenue. So the next building here is the Canada Saskatchewan soundstage. And we did have a thriving film industry, but it kind of died when the government decided they weren't going to subsidize it anymore. So there's still things done here, but not for a while. There was a lot of stuff being done here. There it is, looking pretty this morning. It's just a facade. The inside was completely gutted. That tower Still has its original interior, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's just a modern building with the old brickwork on the outside. Used to be where the theater department was. When I first came here, I remember going to a play in there and a few other things. So here's the front of it. Well, now it's just called the Saskatchewan Production Studios, I guess. I'm sure it used to be called the Canada Saskatchewan. Very green. Branches down for some reason. We did have quite a bit of wind with the rain. Like yesterday's walk was quite blustery, and it had been a lot blusterier than that before. I'll go down here just to get closer to the CBC. And because it's pretty. Among the offices in there is Sask Books, which is the association of book publishers here in Saskatchewan. I'm a member of that. My Shadowpaw Press, in fact, just got bumped up to a full membership because I published enough books. And I think I'm going to be on the board after the annual meeting in a couple of weeks. Creative Saskatchewan is in there too. That's the provincial grant, sort of arch grant, one of them, agencies. And I had a grant from them for Shapers of Worlds, the anthology I kickstarted featuring first-year guests of my podcast, available everywhere, or from shadowpawpress.com. Shapers of Worlds. Coming soon, Shapers of Worlds Volume 2, because I just kickstarted another one. Anyway, that's the CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC Saskatchewan. And of course, the soundstage stuff is really both in that connection and then in the building over here. But it was designed to be connected to the CBC, since that's where all the, a lot of the, there's also audio-visual stuff there, obviously. I used to go there every week for 17 years, I think. I was a weekly science columnist, CBC's afternoon edition. I'd go in and I'd write everything up, and then I'd go in and talk about science. Most of those, I also had a science column that went into newspapers, and pretty much all of that is on my website, edwardwillett.com. All those old science columns. Many of them out of date, of course, but there they are. I could probably get a collection out of it, except, as I said, they're so old now that a lot of it is just flat out wrong, or talked about some study that nothing ever came of, or whatever. So I would hesitate to do that. It used to be the Cnib, Canadian National Institute for the Blind, building here, but it was torn down. They're supposed to be building something new, but they haven't started. There was some controversy about it. If you want to give blood, you do it over there, Canadian Blood Services. They won't take my blood. This is Broadway. Hardly the Broadway that the guy that inspired my walks, Walking Commuter in New York, walks along. This Broadway is a little more interesting than that. Let's just walk here along Broad Street. A bit busy, but I haven't walked this way before, so I'm trying to vary things. I mean, not hugely busy, but there's more traffic on it than the residential streets I often walk along. Perhaps not the most interesting bit of sidewalk. So once I get a chance, I might dip over there into my usual path around the lake, just because this is kind of dull. There might be a sidewalk up there that'll do the trick. So the lake's over there. Again, I walk around that on Fridays. Apartments over there, those are quite old. They've been there a long time. Not like 1920s old, but 1960s old. Yeah, I think there's a sidewalk that will take us. Am I just seeing something else? Nope, definitely a sidewalk. Take us over to the street over there. I'll go over there and walk by Wascana Center Authority building. If anybody's on Facebook, say hi. So I know you're there. I have sound. That would be nice to know. I had sound yesterday. Day before that, I didn't. I'm not sure why. I'm gonna stay on the grass over here. Am I? No, it's too muddy. Well, it's all right. I'm walking against traffic and unlikely to not to be able to get out of the way. I'll go over here to the left anyway. There's the lake again. Get there on Friday. Well, we're there now, but I'll walk around it closer on Friday. This has become my tradition. Walk around the lake on a Friday. This must never be changed. One of these days you pull out a prop, and where does it stop? Where does it stop? Thank you. That's a little bit of Fiddler on the Roof. I played Tevye once upon a time and really enjoyed it. It's a great role. This is the Queen building. It's run like a ship. It's where the naval cadets hang out. Hence the sort of naval style flag up there. Oh, I see another comment. As soon as I get out of the sun, I might even be able to read it. Close to the waterfall with the islands? No, not really. I won't be going by it today, I don't think. So this is actually a ship, Her Majesty's ship HMCS Queen. So it's run like a ship, except for the floating bit. There's the lake over there. No, the waterfall island is over that way. And I'll go by it, but I wasn't planning to go down close to it today. Oh, this works. There's another sidewalk over here I haven't been along yet. They have canoes there for the naval cadets. So at least they get sort of on the water, I guess. I don't know what else they do. They may go sailing at one of the lakes nearby rather than this one with more space and deeper water. You occasionally see a sailboat on here, but not as often as you might think. I mean, it's certainly big enough to sail on. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of that. Okay, let's see here. We'll go this way. So the building over here, Wascana Center Authority, is the sort of the headquarters of the park, Wascana Center, which, as I've mentioned before, is, I think it's the largest urban park in North America. Total hectareage. It's bigger than Central Park, but it's not as neatly contained. It's spread out along the river. It smells like the mountains. Wet trees. Something about the smell makes me think of the mountains. There's a lovely garden back here called, they call it Lady Slipper Garden, I think, behind this fence, which you can rent for events. I've been in a few events in here, and the garden is a nice part of it. You can sort of see it there. It's oh, there's a lovely cherry blossom there blooming. Quite a lovely garden. Nothing is exactly at its peak. And over here there are rocks. I'm not sure why, but there are. That'll just take us. We'll keep going this way. Got an unstable internet warning. I'm hoping that clears up in a second. There we go. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody. When I walk around the lake, I normally walk down there, so again, I haven't really walked on this piece of sidewalk. Not that it's an exciting piece of sidewalk, but at least it's a different piece of sidewalk. One of these days I will walk on across the road up here. I'll probably start in this parking lot and walk over there down to the Saskatchewan Science Centre where I used to work. And you go on past that, you get to Douglas Park. There's a big landfill hill there. Some of it is dirt from when they deepened the lake, which is substantial enough to give quite a nice view from the top. And then you go a little further, there's a full-size football field used for minor football. But I wouldn't want to start from home for that. I'd probably start either here or even across the road somewhere. Maybe this weekend if it's nice. That's someplace I'd drive to first. There's the geese. I mentioned the Willow. It's one of our favorite restaurants. Has a lovely deck with a view over the lake. Building over there is the Connexus Art Center. That's the main performance theater in town where, you know, touring Broadway shows, that sort of thing, big concerts. The concerts that are too big for a smaller place and too small for a stadium, that's what you get there. I've seen like Celine Dion there years ago, the Moody Blues and things like that. And I performed in there. Everybody that sings dance. My daughter is a dancer and can dance, which is a big competition, is held there usually. So I know it well. I know the backstage well. It's also where the Regina Symphony Orchestra performs normally. We have season tickets. We were friends with the maestro, Victor Sawa, who was maestro for years. And he has two little girls, they're not little anymore, two girls who were just a little bit older than Alice. And we would go in the stage door, and Alice would be babysat by Victor's babysitter in the green room while the concert was going on, but she was too little to sit out front. And then I'd go and get her when the concert was over and bring her out to the lobby. And a few times she got to be the flower girl that gave flowers to the, where's that side of the lake, to the visiting performer. I usually cross that bridge when I'm walking, and you can see the waterfall island over there in the distance. That's Pine Island over there. That's where the waterfall is. So I'm really walking around the lake, but I managed to make it longer than usual. I'm not sure why. I thought that was a great idea. Walking around it, but a little further away from it, so I'm definitely adding probably a kilometer or something like that. But slightly different view over here. There's the path I'll be on Fridays down there. Caught by the light. So again, there's the art center over there. Let's go down this way, but I actually want to be on the other side. sidewalk. I don't know if there's a sidewalk here or not. No, there's not. Bad choice on my part. Oh well. Grass is probably not too wet since it's in the sunshine. It looked like there was a sidewalk. It just ends after the corner. Sort of the city tree farm is over here somewhere further on. Maybe even this is part of it with the straight rows here. They grow the trees that they then plant in the rest of the city. I guess I could walk on here as long as there's no cars coming. Now there's a car coming. The tree farm is maybe actually past this fence line that's coming up. Over there it is. How long have I been walking? Yeah, this will be a somewhat longer walk than some days. So, tree farm. Well, bushes too, apparently. Because as I often point out, every tree you see was planted. None of this is natural growth. This is the prairies. In general, there are no trees here naturally, except for maybe some willows along the rivers where, you know, seeds have been transported by water. But in general, there are no trees in this part of Saskatchewan to speak of, unless they've been planted like these have. Oh, here I can get on a sidewalk. Diefenbaker Homestead used to be here. John G. Diefenbaker was Prime Minister of Canada, and he was from Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. And they had his homestead here, sort of a interpretive center, but not anymore. Unstable internet again. Sorry about that. It's not my fault. Path didn't really take us anywhere. That was just for aesthetic reasons. I went down there. I think if we go this way, take that curve, sort of starting to wind my way back. Still going south, so I'm still adding to my return trip a bit. But I've also gone back to the west a bit, so that's in the general direction of home. Anybody on Facebook this morning? Nobody has said hi there. And again, I don't know if I have sound. I'd love to know if you're on Facebook, if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, well, tell me that too, but I don't know how to tell you to tell me that. So where does this take me? Yeah, I'll get on this sidewalk up here. Oh, now I know where I am. Okay. I walked down that road in front of me. There's some artwork further down that I won't go by today. These giant Lego blocks made in China. Why? They're just concrete blocks. Pretty sure we can make that in Saskatchewan. These are just walking paths, and they're also kind of attached, at least they're next door to Wascana Rehabilitation Center. So it's some place that you can bring somebody in a wheelchair, take them for a walk out here. I'd never really walked along here until I started doing these walks. And I came over here one day and said, oh, this is nice. You see there's benches here and there. It's all part of Wascana Center still. Somebody with binoculars up there, he must be doing bird watching. Seeing anything interesting?
There's some goldfinch singing here.
Yeah.
Some migrants moving through today.
I've been doing quite a bit of walking out here and occasionally see something I don't recognize, but it's not like I would. It's a lovely day anyway. I'll be working my way back to you. See downtown through the trees there, if you look close. It looks bigger to me than it does on the fairly wide angle iPhone screen. I'll keep going this way. There's Wascana Rehab Center. Story I always tell when I walk by here said I sang there once, you know, entertaining the patients years ago. And when I had done it, I was in the song, I think, when I realized that singing Don't Get Around Much Anymore maybe wasn't the best choice for a place where everybody's in wheelchairs. They enjoyed it though. Nobody said, what's the point of singing a song like that? It's the Saturday dance, that's the one. Could have gone, but what for? It's awfully different without you. Don't get around much anymore. Started that a little low. More. Oh, I see another comment. Where can we see the stream from Facebook? It's just on my personal page. So if you look up Edward Willett, send me a friend request and I'll friend you. Probably public. You can probably find it even without being a friend. There may be more than one Edward Willett, but you should be able to figure out which one I am. There's also Edward Willett author, no, Edward Willett is my author's page. Let's go this way. On my personal page, I think I'm just Edward Willett. I've never really looked at the URL on that. Oh, well, I guess I'll come this way because I have now. It's going to take me into the parking lot. which is not the most exciting thing to look at, but here it is. I don't know specifically what this building is. I'll be able to read it if I get close enough. It says Geriatric Center. Here we go. Now over there is the T.C. Douglas building, which I've walked by many times. Government building, has the McKinsey Art Gallery in it. I'm going to go to the right so I don't get any further from home. It's a beautiful disposal bin. Like I said, the parking lot was not the most scenic choice. This will take us back into the more parky part of the park. Just wearing a light sweater and a windbreaker. I'm starting to get warm, so unzip the windbreaker. Yesterday was real windbreaker weather. Blowing and spitting a little bit as I walked. It was a fairly short one yesterday, so I guess this makes up for it. It's the Lloyd building over there. Government building. Most of the buildings in the park are government buildings. We are a government town. Regina is the capital of the province. There's an old song that they used to play on CKCK TV. Regina is the capital of the province. It's the home of the RCMP. We have the exhibition, and in addition, Regina has CKCK TV. And it goes on like that for quite a while. You can take a scenic tour around Wascana. At Regina campus, get a degree. Folks that till the soil or drill for oil, they watch CKCK TV. And of course, why is that stuck in my head? Because I was a kid, and when you're a kid, advertising jingles and all that stuff, you just absorb them. I mean, everybody knows the Gilligan's Island theme song, right? These are washrooms, another scenic part of the park. Oh, I didn't know it went all the way back like that. Would have been shorter to go the other way. I'm just trying to stay away from the close to the lake, just because I'll do that on Friday. This sidewalk will let us stay up here for a little bit, continuing to work more or less westward back toward Albert Street. Crosswalk. I wonder what they're doing over there. Drilling something. That's Albert Street again up ahead. government buildings over there. It's the Walter Scott building, named after the first premier. Lloyd was another premier. This Lloyd building over here. That's the last name, not the first name. I did a bunch of work for Environment Department. I remember going to an office up in there. I was editing a bunch of material for a website about, what was it about? Wetlands, maybe? Sort of just making sure everything was formatted the same. A lot of it was scientific papers, so it wasn't like I was changing anything that would have been bad. No, I don't like that number. I'll put in a different one. So we'll walk down by the Walter Scott building just to keep away from the boringness of Albert Street. Coming from this direction, it's easier to check to see if there's water in the underpass under the Albert Street Bridge. If there isn't, I'll take that instead of a crosswalk this time, going back. Probably built in the 50s, I would think, the Walter Scott building. Has that look. Not an ugly building, but not a terribly attractive one either. It's just utilitarian by modern standards anyway. I've been in this one too. I know it has very small elevators, as older buildings tend to. There's the front of it. That sort of glass extension on the front is new, obviously. That's something they built when they built in the 50s. I do like the stonework up there on top with the Saskatchewan coat of arms and the sort of stylized wheat, I guess. I don't know. So this is all new, and I think it was largely for accessibility reasons. There's a chairlift. Before that, you had to climb the stairs. It's just a building access handicapped that way, so maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe they have both. Legislative building, you can see there. Poke it up. There's a fountain up here. Not a waterfall, but a fountain. Simple but nice. Little island here. Traffic island, not water island. It's a nice little area with the benches around it. You can come and sit with your lunch and enjoy the fountain. It's maybe more interesting from this side with the lighting. All sparkling. And a little wet. The closest I've come to falling was 2 days ago, and it wasn't on ice. Back when I was walking and there was still ice, I was careful and I never came very close to falling, but it was wet grass because, of course, it never occurred to me that the grass was going to be as slippery as it was. And I just about took a live tumble. But as I like to say, this isn't Tumbler, nor is it faceplant. So there's the west end of the legislative building. Over here on the left is the Provincial War Memorial. Names of Saskatchewan residents killed in wars from the First World War up through peacekeeping activities. Morning. Backlit right now, so it's not the best time to be showing pictures of the legislative building. Getting pretty close to home now, probably 10 minutes away. So this will be over an hour, but yesterday was only 38 minutes, so it'll balance out to about an hour each day, which is sort of my standard walking time. I haven't missed a day since around March 15th. So these things are starting to pile up. You can now spend an entire work week and still not get through them all. If all you were doing was watching my videos. Which I don't recommend. The boss probably wouldn't approve. So we will briefly go down by the lake here momentarily. Hopefully don't find too much mud here. I guess I can go over here. It's a bit more of a path, I think. Well, I guess I should have come that way. I kind of took an unnecessary loop there. Should have walked by the washrooms there. I've forgotten about this sidewalk here. It's the Albert Street Bridge with the Saskatchewan flags flying on it. There's the lake, Lake Wascana, Wascana Lake. Nobody calls it Lake Wascana. Don't know why I did it backwards. And the geese. Reason why you always have to watch your feet when you're walking in the park. People do feed them. That fountain over there is for aeration purposes, to get oxygen in the water for the fish. Yeah, it's about time these signs came down. Physical distancing. They've never done anything. I firmly believe that had they never changed that, there would not have been a single case from anybody walking around the lake. There just isn't outdoor transmission unless you're standing face to face with somebody who's infected and talking to them for an extended period of time. But, you know, governments all felt they had to do something, and they came up with all these things, and they did them, and we've obeyed them. The trouble is, it's really hard for them to stop once they start controlling things. But we're getting there. We're at 70% of the population in Saskatchewan has had their first shot. Second shots are starting to happen. So phase 1 of our reopening happens this weekend, and phase 2 will be 3 weeks later. It's all based on percentage of people vaccinated. There's spillway. This is a dam which forms the lake on Wascana Creek. That's where the water goes out. That's the dam. That's the lake it formed. Okay, let's see if the underpass is flooded, or if I can get through there. Aren't? I think it's okay. It's not usually much water down below unless it's right after the snow melts. But there's a spot here at the top of the stairs that can form a puddle. And after the first round of rain, I came this way and found myself trapped by a puddle right here. You can see it's still damp. I had to climb out through these bushes here to get out of here. Well, they've cleaned up the graffiti again. That never lasts long. There was some here. It's been painted over, but now there's fresh stuff on the other side. Alrighty, not much further now. Let me say, I like that house. You can see they've covered some of their flowers because of the frost, or incipient frost last night. Barrington Mews, where Wally Knight lives in my books, the Shards of Excalibur series. Which you can find at shadowpawpress.com. It's recycling day, so the blue bins are out on the street. pick that up every 2 weeks. Garbage is every 2 weeks during the winter when it's cold. Once it warms up, it goes to weekly. This is Angus Boulevard. We'll go through the alley to Angus Crescent, which connects to Angus Street. Mr. Angus is well represented, whoever he was. It's probably in my book, Historic Walks of Regina and Moose Jaw, but I can't remember everything that's in that book, unfortunately. Or I'd have a lot more to say on these walks, since a lot of the houses I go by are in there. Mostly courtesy of the Regina, Heritage Regina, who created these walks, which I used as my main source material, and then added what else I could find along the way. And I walked all the walks and took a picture of every building on them. They didn't all go in the book, but I did take pictures of them all. And some are now gone. Several buildings that I had on that have been torn down since then. Devon School straight ahead, where our daughter went to elementary school. I say that every time I walk down this alley. Very close now. So how long did I end up going? An hour and 8 minutes or something? Not too much over an hour. Felt longer. Just because it was a different path. All right, well, it's pretty close to our house, so I'll stop here. So thanks for watching live if you're watching live, and if you're watching the replay, thanks for doing that. And I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.